has meaning in several places, not just Alaska, but here in Moses Lake. For those of you who don't know much about me, I live in Bellevue on the other side of the hill, the wet side of the hill. And most of the art that I do is either in the architectural camp or the railroad camp. And it's through the railroad and transportation world that I got involved with this. Over the last 18 years or so, I've been doing annual paintings for Alaska Marine Lines, and Scott works with Alaska West Express, which is a subsidiary of Linden Transport, and Alaska Marine Lines runs the barges of containers between southeast Alaska and the Seattle area. So they've asked me to every year to do a great big panorama, really, about 50-inch panorama painting of the different scenic spots in Alaska. AML really felt that it was important to honor the people of Alaska and the landscapes of Alaska. And hold those thoughts for a minute, because I'm going to pick up on that again when I talk about this particular painting. When the president of AML and the marketing director came to my office back in '95 or '96 and wanted to start this project, my jaw hit the ground, because it just don't run into industrial companies who want to use paintings, let alone are sensitive enough to honor the people and the landscapes that those paintings would show. This was typical in a lot of American advertising art for generations, but we haven't seen it for probably 50 years. So to have this relationship with Alaska Marine Lines was really grand. Last summer, I was in Anchorage meeting with Scott and some others to talk about the next painting for the 2014 calendar, which was Anchorage. So Scott and I were having lunch one day, and somehow the 557 entered into the conversation. Scott didn't know that so much of my architecture, or so much of my artistic work, was in the railroad world. So as we talked, I said, you know, that's a pretty great thing you're doing here, getting this locomotive back to Alaska and then starting to rebuild it. I'd like an opportunity to talk with your committee to see if they'd be interested in commissioning a painting. So Scott took that and introduced me to Pat Durand, who is the president of the 557 Restoration Company. And it's all history from then on.